I used to believe that love was supposed to feel like a sunrise, gentle, golden, full of promise. But with her, it was more like a wildfire, beautiful, dangerous, and utterly consuming. Her name was Elena. We met on a gray November morning. The kind of day that clings to your skin and wraps around your ribs. She walked into the corner cafe where I was wasting time between classes, rain trailing behind her like a silk veil. Her coat was too thin, her fingers red from the cold, but her eyes, those impossible, sea-storm eyes, found mine. And I swear the whole room quieted when she smiled. I never believed in fate. Not really. But that moment, the weight of it, the hush in the world, it changed something in me. Is this seat taken? Her voice was soft, but the kind of soft that cuts through noise. Like a lullaby that knows your name. I looked up from my book, blinked stupidly. No. It's all yours. That's how it began. Coffee turned into long talks. Long talks turned into walks in the rain. Walks turned into nights where we didn't sleep, just watched the ceiling fan spin and talked about everything we were too afraid to say in daylight. She was different. Elena didn't just listen, she heard. She didn't smile to be polite, she smiled when her heart caught fire. I was the quiet one among my friends, Jake, Yana, Liam, and Danny. We were inseparable since high school, bound by the kind of laughter and shared scars that make friendships indestructible. At least, I thought so. They noticed the change in me before I did. You're disappearing, man, Jake said one night as we stood outside our favorite bar. Every time we plan something, you're with her. I wanted to explain. But how could I? How could I make them understand the way she made my chest feel like it held sunlight instead of lungs? She just needs me right now, I muttered. Jake scoffed. We all need you, Leo. But I was already pulling away. I told myself it wasn't intentional. Elena had a complicated past. She'd been hurt before, abandoned. She said I was the first person she truly trusted. And God, I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be enough. They don't get you, she whispered one night as we lay under a threadbare blanket. They just want the version of you that makes them comfortable. But they're my friends. They've always been there for me. She turned to me then, those storm eyes heavy. Were they there when you cried alone in your dorm freshman year? When your dad got sick and no one noticed you skipped class for a week? I swallowed. She knew things I hadn't told anyone. She asked, and I answered. And she remembered. No, I whispered. Exactly, she said, and kissed me like salvation. I didn't see it then, the slow unraveling. The way she didn't push, but gently folded my world into hers until there was no room for anyone else. By spring, I wasn't just drifting from my friends. I was gone. Missed birthdays. Skipped camping trips. Left group chats unread. You okay? Yana messaged once. We miss you. I stared at the blinking cursor. Typed, deleted. Typed again. Just busy. Hope you're all good. Elena saw the message. I saw the way her smile tightened. They only reach out when they need something. Notice that? I nodded, even though I hadn't. Not really. The first time she broke something of mine was small. A photo of me and the gang from senior year. She said she knocked it over accidentally. The glass shattered like brittle bones. Sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to. I believed her. But soon, it wasn't just glass. She began to get anxious when I left the apartment. Called me 10 times when I was late. Told me she had nightmares of me leaving her. I just feel safer when you're here, she said, pressing my hand to her heart. And I wanted to be the safe place. I always had. My world became quiet. Too quiet. Like standing in the eye of a storm, not realizing it's just the pause before everything shatters. Then came the night everything began to tilt. I got a call from Danny. I almost didn't pick up. Leo, we need to talk. Her voice was shaking. Is this about Elena again? Because No, she cut in. It's about you. About what she's doing to you. I froze. I don't know what you think you know, I said, my voice cold. She told Liam you didn't want to be friends with us anymore. That you think we're toxic. She messaged him from your phone. My blood went still. That's not true. I didn't. I never said that. I believe you, Danny whispered. But you need to open your eyes. That night, I stared at Elena as she slept. Peaceful. Innocent. A curl of hair on her cheek like a comma in a love letter. Could she really be lying to me? Could someone who loved me do that? I wanted to confront her. I wanted to scream. But all I did was whisper into the dark. Please, tell me this is real. The night she deleted Alex's number from my phone, she didn't even flinch. You're better off without him, she whispered, curling against my chest like we were teenagers in love, like the slow destruction of my life wasn't unfolding in her gentle hands. It wasn't the first time. Elena had a way of making silence feel like guilt. I'd sit on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, thumb hovering over a contact she didn't like, and she'd just stare, not with rage, not with disgust, but with that quiet disappointment that made my lungs crumple like paper. You know how much he talks about you behind your back, right? She'd say about Julian. I just think you deserve people who uplift you, not compete with you, she'd add when I mentioned Michael. And I'd believe her. God help me, I believed her. I started noticing the gaps first. One by one, the people I thought I'd carry into old age began to slip through the cracks. Birthdays missed. Group chats left. Messages unanswered. It wasn't like I didn't care. I did. I mourned them in silence, at night, when Elena was asleep and I'd sit in the bathroom with the tap running to cover the sound of me scrolling through old photos. Laughter frozen in time, memories that now felt like postcards from a country I was banned from. I remember the moment that broke me. It was Julian's wedding. I wasn't invited. Not because he didn't want me there, but because he had no idea who I was anymore. You ghosted, Leo, he wrote in a message I found months later, buried beneath dozens of unopened texts. You disappeared. I waited. I tried. But I guess you made your choice. I hadn't made a choice. I'd been unmade, piece by piece. Where are you going? Elena's voice was soft, but edged in steel. She stood by the door in one of my old shirts, arms crossed, lips parted in practiced concern. I told you, I muttered, zipping up my coat. My mom's having surgery. I need to be there. She stepped closer, eyes narrowing like she was trying to read between my lies, even though there weren't any this time. You always get distant after seeing your family, she said. You come back, off. My mother is sick, I snapped. I'm allowed to be off. The argument that followed wasn't loud. Elena never yelled. No, she preferred psychological warfare, raising doubts, reframing narratives, turning things over until I forgot why I was angry in the first place. Leo, I just want us to be strong, she said. You promised to protect this. If you start letting everyone pull you in different directions again, your mother, your friends, your past, you're going to ruin what we've built. And just like that, I stayed. I called my mother and lied. She cried on the other end of the phone, tried not to sound disappointed. I hung up and went back to Elena's arms like a dog returning to its chain. The betrayal didn't come suddenly. It leaked in like rain through a cracked window. The first time I saw her phone light up with a name I didn't recognize, I ignored it. The second time, I asked. Who's Mark? I said casually, pretending not to care. A friend from work, she replied, not even looking up. I nodded. Said nothing. Believed her. But seeds don't die just because you bury them. They grow in the dark. They tangle around your thoughts and sprout at the worst moments. A month later, I saw the way she smiled at her screen when she thought I wasn't looking. The kind of smile I used to earn. Not wide or showy, intimate. Private. She started dressing different too. Not for me. Late nights became more frequent. Weekend, work trips. Locked phones. And when I asked, God, Leo, are you really going to be one of those guys? I said sorry. I always did. The night everything shattered, it was raining. How poetic. How tragically on brand. She was in the shower. Her phone buzzed. I wasn't looking for it, I swear I wasn't. But when you've lived in the gaslight long enough, even the smallest flicker feels like truth. My hands moved before my doubt could stop them. Mark. Last night was everything. Can't wait to see you again, winky face. I froze. Not rage. Not sadness. Just a stillness. Like time had been sucked out of the room and I was the only thing left standing. Then came the photos. Nothing pornographic. But intimate. Her on a hotel bed. Hair down. Wine in hand. Smirking in a way I hadn't seen in months. I don't remember walking to the bathroom. Don't remember how the door opened. I just remember her face when she saw the phone in my hand. She didn't look surprised. She looked relieved. Like she'd been waiting for this. So what now? I asked. Not yelling. Not crying. Just empty. She wrapped a towel around herself, stepping out onto the tile with infuriating calm. You were going to find out eventually, she said, like she was telling me the weather. I stared at her. At the woman I gave everything to. The woman who had reshaped my life like a sculptor chiseling away every trace of who I was before her. You told me they were toxic, I said. You told me my friends were jealous. You told me my mother didn't understand me. You said you were the only one who really saw me. She shrugged. And you believed me. That's not my fault. That line. That night, I wandered. I don't know how many miles I walked, but by dawn my feet were blistered and my shirt was soaked through. I ended up on a bench in a park I used to drink at with Julian, years ago, when life was simpler and I still had a tribe. I watched the sun rise through a haze of disbelief. Not just at Elena. But at myself. How had I let it get this far? How had I given her so much power? Was I weak? Gullible? Or just so desperate to be seen that I let her write the entire story of my life while I quietly erased all the other characters? I wanted to scream. To tear pages from the sky. To rewind time. But all I could do was sit. And feel. And remember. I called Julian later that day. I didn't expect him to answer. But he did. His voice was cautious at first, like someone answering a call from the dead. I didn't try to explain everything. I just said, you were right. I'm sorry. There was a long pause. Then, his voice cracked. Leo, man, we missed you. And that's when I broke. Not at the betrayal. Not at the lies. But at the kindness. The door I thought I had slammed shut still had a crack of light under it. I wish I could say that was the end. That I walked away, healed, and never looked back. But that would be a lie. Because healing isn't a door you walk through. It's a staircase you crawl up, sometimes sliding back down 2 steps for every one you climb. There were nights I almost called her. Mornings I woke up reaching for someone who was no longer there. There were dreams where she apologized, where she cried and I held her and we promised to start over. But reality was colder. She moved on fast. A new apartment. New photos. A new man. It stung. But it also made the next step easier. I started rebuilding. I reconnected with Michael first. He didn't even ask for an explanation. Just hugged me so hard I couldn't breathe. Julian took longer. He needed to know I was serious. That I wasn't just crawling back because I had nowhere else to go. He made me work for it. And I'm glad he did. Because real friends don't come back through guilt. They come back through grace. And my mother, she forgave me with tears in her eyes and hands that wouldn't let go of mine for minutes. That was the beginning of me coming back. Not the version she sculpted. The one I buried. The one I'm still learning how to be again. The morning after I left Elena, I found myself sitting on a bench outside the train station, my coat soaked through from last night's rain. I hadn't slept. My phone buzzed until it died in my pocket, and I let it. There were no calls I wanted to take. Around me, the world kept spinning. Businessmen with damp umbrellas. College kids half asleep, headphones in. Couples walking too closely for the humidity. And me, a man who'd been so sure of love, left with nothing but a hollow chest and 100 unspoken apologies. I thought of going back to my apartment, but the thought of her being there, her smell, her voice, her sobs, was too much. I called Danny instead. She answered on the first ring. Leo? I didn't speak. Just breathed. Where are you? I don't know, I said. Can I come over? Danny lived in a tiny one-bedroom with thrift store furniture and a cat named Mercury. When I got there, she didn't say a word. Just opened the door and wrapped me in a hug that felt like home. I hadn't realized how much I missed being touched without conditions. I broke down. I didn't want to, but it hit me all at once, the weight of it. The betrayal. The loneliness. The shame. Danny sat with me for hours. Just listened. No judgment. No advice I wasn't ready for. Just presence. Later, she made tea and said, "You don't have to tell me everything. But if you want to, I'm here." And so I told her. All of it. The lies. The emotional manipulation. The isolation. How Elena made me believe I was choosing love, when really, I was being groomed into dependency. She knew your vulnerabilities, Danny said quietly. And she weaponized them. That's not love. That's trauma bonding. Her words cut deep. But they were true. I stayed with Danny for 2 weeks. In that time, I barely touched my phone. Jake called. So did Yana and Liam. Sometimes I picked up. Sometimes I didn't. I wasn't ready to face the mirror they represented. But slowly, I started responding. The first time we all met again was awkward. Like trying to wear clothes you'd outgrown but missed too much to throw away. We sat in the back of the same bar where it all began. You look different, Jake said. Older. Feel like I aged 10 years. Liam leaned in. We were scared, man. Not just that we lost you, but how easy it seemed for her to erase us. It wasn't easy, I said. I just didn't know how to fight her. Yana blinked back tears. You shouldn't have had to. I told them the truth, or as much as I could say without crumbling. I told them about the messages, the guilt, the way she cried every time I questioned her. About the fear. The confusion. It felt like loving her was the only good thing I had left. Even when it hurt. Jake nodded slowly. Sometimes love is a weapon. We clinked glasses. It wasn't a celebration. It was a quiet mourning for time lost. But also a fragile beginning. I wanted to heal. But healing isn't a straight path. It loops and spirals. Some days I felt strong. Others, I stared at my reflection and wondered if I'd ever recognize myself again. Elena messaged me. Dozens of times. Come home. I miss you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Then came the anger. You abandoned me. You lied. You'll never find anyone who loves you like I did. And finally, silence. The silence hurt the most. It made me question, had I imagined it all? Was she just broken, not cruel? Did I fail her? Danny saw me spiraling one night and sat me down. Leo, abusers don't have to be evil. Most aren't. They're hurt. Scared. But that doesn't excuse what they do. She may have loved you. But she didn't love you well. I nodded. You can grieve her. But don't you dare romanticize her. She was right. It took months to reclaim myself. I saw a therapist. I journaled. I wrote long, angry letters to Elena that I never sent. I started painting again, something she always said was a waste of time. I reconnected with my sister. I called my dad more. I even got a cat. Named her Solstice. One rainy Thursday, I got a text from an unknown number. I saw you today. You looked happy. I hope you are. No name. No question. I didn't respond. Because I was happy. Not every day. But enough. And that, I realized, was all I needed. The final time I saw her was accidental. A bookstore. She looked the same. Hair up, scarf loose, eyes tired but alert. She saw me. We both froze. She didn't come over. Neither did I. But in her gaze, I saw something unexpected, remorse. I nodded. She nodded back. And then we turned away. Closure doesn't always come with words. Sometimes, it's just a shared glance between two people who once mistook fire for warmth. Epilogue, to the ones who stayed. To Jake, Yana, Liam, and Danny, thank you for waiting. For not giving up. For seeing me when I couldn't see myself. And to anyone reading this who thinks love should hurt, or cost you everything else you value, it shouldn't. Real love doesn't ask you to shrink. It helps you grow. And I'm growing. Even now. Especially now.